Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am fired up tonight like never before. Welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We're back home. That's Washington, D.C. to you and me. Yours truly on the wheels of steel, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. What a powerful day yesterday was. Love you, Mary. Mary's in our chat roll. Mary's my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed. Just that quick. The Honorable Ralph J. Chittum's great reverend and as well great friend is in the chat roll tonight. It's Tuesday night. You know what tonight is. Janice Hall, the J. Hauler, who has officially in 2016 become the official world news commentator for the Exceptional Conservative Show. She'll be on at 10 o'clock tonight. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff tonight. Tax season is about to begin. I'm going to talk in this fourth quarter of the show about taxes. But coming up, after I do my little intro, I want to talk with you all about Flint, Michigan. And I want to find out why in Flint, Michigan are the Republicans cowering when they should be hardcore on the attack against the socialists that caused the problem. Listen, that and so much more. A bounty, a great harvest in store for you. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, get your wood, get your groceries, get your food. When Mary says it's going to be 3 feet of snow, it's going to be 3 feet of snow. Ladies and gentlemen, without great ado and without further ado, you know what we do at this time period of our program. We lift our right hand, find our hearts, and we prepare to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. What great pledge there is, and I adore truly. We begin tonight with Spanish and with English with Señora Cabrera, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Señora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now in Spanish we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa, una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And I will see you now. Welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republicans and then the Democrats. When last we talked, I advised you that I was on the road to South Kakalaki, and what a wonderful trip that was. I got to broadcast over the weekend with the lovely, the beautiful, the brilliant Anna Ubelis, and she is Southern Sense. If you don't know her, southern-sense.com. You go to her website, and it was it's amazing. Whether it's CPAC or South Carolina Tea Party or out in Vegas, they love themselves some conservative talk show hosts like Annie and myself, or Sakesh Sean and myself. Listen, from the moment we got there, there was a turntable of individuals who were coming through. We were filled from the moment we sat down. We were interviewing people. I loved interviewing Christy Ann Hall, who I'm working feverishly to get on the Conservative Commandos radio show this weekend. Had wonderful conversations with so many great people. Typhoon Lou, forgive me. I'm working hard to get him back on our program. He enjoys my laugh. And I'm going to tell you something. Our show, we don't have the millions behind it like Breitbart, and we don't have all the Heritage Foundation monies and stuff. We don't have all that. But where do people want to go to be filmed and to be heard? They came right on over to talk with Annie and myself. And on the last day I was there, Sunday, a nice, kindly Southern gentleman walked over to me, and he looked at me, and he stared me in the eye, and he looked at my hat, and he stared down and looked back at me again. And I greeted him, and I said, Governor Gilmore, it's an honor and privilege to talk with you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I got a chance to meet Governor Jim Gilmore, who's running for the U.S. presidency. We're going to work on having him on this Friday on the Conservative Commandos radio show. What a kind and gentle man that he is. And he was completely shocked, just almost defiantly shocked that there was a brother up in there who was a conservative who was a talk show host. Wow. So then their staff said, listen, Kim, we're going to do what we can. He's traveling to New Hampshire, but we're going to do what we can to get that young man on the air with you. He was really impressed with meeting you. So, great opportunity. I'm looking forward to it. But after that, my wife and I got in the car at midnight, right after the show on Thursday. Well, not right after the show, but on Friday when we decided to go home. And after Bible study that night, we got in the car. We had to prepare for the march. I'm going to talk with you about that in a few moments, but we had to prepare for the march, and my wife looked at me because I wasn't frazzled, but I'm a demanding kind of person when I want things said in right order. Okay, and sometimes people, they're used to the affable, laughable, lovable Ken McClinton. Oh, Ken, you so funny. You get so funny, Ken. But when I mean business, they're put off. Oh, who is this? Is he paranoid? Is he hearing voices? No. It's about business, people. And I love my wife, Mrs. Biggs, who's been with me through all of these experiences over the weekend. Love you dearly, babe. She's watching us via live stream and Ustream. And you're listening to us via Rebooting Liberty, or you're listening to us through SHR Media, or High Plains Talk Radio around the world on variant sites, and I just thank you all so much for tuning in. But Mrs. Biggs was with me. I was in the midnight hour organizing our march on Monday, making certain monies were in the proper place, the forms filled out, that there wouldn't be an issue or a problem. And also going to the hotels to make sure that everything was expended and taken care of. Didn't want any issues, because our great guest Howard Coleman, who came in all the way from Charleston, South Carolina, and YG and Toby Nightstorm, I keep saying Strom, but it's Nightstorm, came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia to march in the parade. And I really enjoyed hearing from people. You know, I'm with you in spirit. Nah, when it's 20 below, you ain't with me in spirit. You ain't with me in spirit. You are not. You may be when I'm inside and drinking cocoa and getting warm again, but when it's 20 below outside and you marching, oh no, you are not with me in spirit. So my wife and I, we were organizing those things, getting those things finalized. We got on the road at midnight. We drove straight there. We got there about 11 o'clock. Our room wasn't ready, but we didn't complain. We were just gracious that the Lord had blessed us along the trip to get us there safely. And she went off to get something to eat. I immediately went over to where Annie was. We began broadcasting, and all the great people that we talk with on that particular day. And also Bill Cowan, wonderful. Oh, love Bill Cowan. So we had a wonderful time interviewing people from the moment I sat down to the ending. Annie and Annie, I love you. The next time I'm in South Carolina, I will take you to dinner, you and Yanni, because I had promised Annie that, listen, as soon as I take leave and go and make sure the room is okay and the room is comfortable, we're going to go out and we're going to have some dinner, and I will call you. But the sad thing is, my wife and I sat down for a few moments, and I was looking at her, and she was looking at me, and the next thing I know, I was up at about 8 o'clock. I was gone. It had been a long trip, interview after interview, shaking hands, greeting people. It took a lot out when I woke up, and I was so... Annie had gone on, and she got her dinner at about 5 o'clock that afternoon. I was very happy that she did. Took my wife out to a nice prime rib seafood place so that we could have a very good meal and a good time, and came back and prepared for the Sunday morning radio program. Now, I know some of you all tuned in for an American Conservative's exploration of the inspired Word of God on Sunday, and what you found was 32 minutes of tape. Right when it was really getting hot, all of a sudden Ustream went down for me. Livestream kept going, so if you want to go listen to the whole hour, you can go to Livestream. But it was a very good program on whether should I pray for my employer and should my employer pray for me. And so it was very, very good. Yeah, Dave, I'm serious. That's a real cool name. We were so impressed. Nightstone. All right. We were teasing him. And Dave Miller's in the chat roll. You know him as the Unpleasant Blind Guy. Mary's in the chat roll, of course. Ralph was here earlier. And I know Mrs. Biggs is watching. But what really, really amazed me was how cool he really was. He's just a really down-to-heart man. I really like him. So my wife and I separated. She made me take her to the mall because she was not going to go through sitting in there listening to me interview conservatives. She could stay home for that. She wanted to go to the mall. So she went to the mall, and some of you all might see the new picture on the Facebook page, the head picture of me standing next to the King piece, in which I declared myself to be the king of 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time, whichever time it is in the East. That's me. I'm the king of that hour. My wife took that beautiful picture, and I thank her so much. It's on Facebook now. You can go by, you can make your comments about it. But I took her to the mall there. She had a wonderful time. We got books, and I'll be reading them during the 3-foot storm to come. And went back and interviewed people. It was just insatiable. We also interviewed Joseph O'Keefe. And I'm going to play a clip for you a little bit later on for Joseph O'Keefe. We talked with him about the abortion scenario and situation, and we gave him kudos because actually the work that he's done on Planned Parenthood, undercover video taping, literally has saved thousands of babies' lives. Many people, many women have decided, you know what, I'm not going to have my baby aborted if I know they're going to crush his skull. So, God bless you, Joe O'Keefe. Great job. James O'Keefe. It's James O'Keefe. I keep saying Joe, and I don't mean that. I apologize. James O'Keefe, thank you. Keep up the good work. God bless you, sir. Wild Bill called in, too, for one of the interviews. We really enjoyed talking with Wild Bill. Now, after all the interviews on that Sunday, my wife and I immediately got back on the road. And we got on the road, and then we drove from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, at the South Carolina Tea Party Conference, straight to Washington, D.C. And along the way, finalizing activities, trying to make certain everything's in its proper place, because, by golly, we're going to have a great march. And I believe that we did with all of my heart. We got back. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. My wife supported me and loved me. She allowed me to get a little sleep. We got over to the place to get the van so that we could take the crosses that we were going to walk with and carry. And I knew that it was going to garner a great deal of attention. God just showed me such illumination, and that I was completely excited. It was 20 degrees outside, and when the wind blew, it felt 20 below. But I was so excited because of what we were about to do as we tipped off for the United Black Fund, 2500 Martin King Jr. Avenue, Southeast, to march up Martin King Jr. Avenue. And when we come back from this particular break, I want to talk with you about how powerful some of you put the covers over your head and decided, not today. I can't do it today, but the next time Ken has a march in the middle of the spring or summer, I'll be there. That's fine. But you missed one of the most life-changing experiences, not just for me and the people that were in that group that was marching up that huge hill, but it changed the people around us. When we come back, I'll talk about that. You're listening to The Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I'm yours truly, The Exceptional One. We'll be back right after these clips.
Are you? I'm James O'Keefe. And you're? Kim Gary. Hi. The Irish Heritage Society. I'm a personal advisor to James O'Keefe. And basically, they have had some unpleasant experiences, some of them and it's basically fictional. Well, like they said, with the Irish Heritage Foundation, so they basically wanted to bring the matter to concern with, we noticed that the Diamond Volunteer Records serve Lucky Charms, and we think that this promotes negative stereotypes of Irish Americans, and we don't think it's acceptable in an academic setting, especially on higher level. And we have a lot of box for you to look at here. And there's what appears to be an Irish American on the front cover, and he's portrayed as a little green, cladded gnome, a huckster. And we think this is underlying the importance and severity of St. Patrick's Day, especially during the march. So basically what we're trying to do is appeal to... Can you tell me what you think? You feel that he's portrayed as a... I think he's portrayed as a little green, cladded gnome. And this is really, as you can see, we're not all short. We have our differences of height, and it's stereotypical of Irish Americans. And, we're really proud of our ancestry, but because of our history and what has happened to us, we think this undermines and it's offensive. And it shouldn't go on here. If I might interject quickly, the university's policy against verbal assault, defamation, and harassment starts off by saying that intolerance and bigotry are antithetical to the values of the university and are unacceptable. It also says that non-discrimination, or rather, the university has a policy of non-discrimination, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race and national origin and ancestry. And most importantly is the fourth clause on defamation, which is said here to me, the unprivileged owner of a written publication of a false statement of fact that exposes the person by whom it was made to hatred, contempt, or ridicule specifically, or subjects the person to loss of the goodwill and confidence of others, or so harms that person's reputation as to be furnished from associating with him or her, and associated defamation is considered a heinous act. Yes, basically, these students and others that were unable to congregate feel that, or rather, are very uncomfortable and once they see us. And we celebrate March as it's a matter of history to us. It's a matter of context. And the problem is that it's a celebration of the Christianity in our St. Patrick's Day. It has nothing to do with leprechauns or rainbows or moons or, it's, to us, the shamrock and through the clover represents a tool utilized by St. Patrick's to introduce the Catholic Trinity to the
Right swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. Flint has shaped his chest hair into a heart. Aww. It's still mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe. I found with my sister. I don't know if she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten. Oh my god, I'm gonna eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot. That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Right swipe.
Right swipe.
Look at you, with your shirt off, flexing. Your buff, but you puff, hashtag the flex. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day. Came across a photo with a green body.
Hold on, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Hottie, feeling overlooked, one soul back.
She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
Let's like that.
Party gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it left.
Like that.
Party gotta swipe it left. Get this stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Like that.
the wrong
Cavalier trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountain top, look at all offensive. I'm about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Like the chicks in the pic, measure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking you from tens to twos. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarettes gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Let's like that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's like that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's like that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's like that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Let's like that.
And just a truck race?
Let's like that.
Smoking at the brown.
Let's like that.
Even at a photo booth?
You don't care. Let's like that.
Party gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
like that.
Party gotta swipe it left. Get this stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's like that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Flint Restaurant, and today I'm walking through some of the meals that we prepared here. So we're making a pizza. We use French, Italian sausage, and beer and spice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and real. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now, we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burger. We keep the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck hand patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and then cook on that so it looks good. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know my spot. I get satisfaction when I go to Infused Restaurant, 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. Telephone number 301-449-9000. That's infused.com. I apologize if there was some sound technical issues. We were trying to play the actual video that got James O'Keefe involved in undercover wire and video taping. And that's when he went to a university to request a meeting with the chancellor or whatever to discuss anti-discrimination policy, and the fact that because he was a Irishman, like it unto myself, he was offended by the fact that the cafeteria was selling Lucky Charms. He found that to be offensive. So you gotta love James. From the very beginning, James knew exactly what he wanted to do with his life, and that's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Great work, James O'Keefe. Keep up the great work. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for all of their hard work in putting together the march. We were working on this for a bit, and we got promises from so many people. Oh, Ken, don't worry, I'll be there. I want to be a part of that. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. And I'm saying this, and my good friend Dave, who I love dearly, love his commentary, love the fact that he's with me and supports me in all my activities, and from Vermont even. And we're going to work out a way for you to get down here from Vermont, sir. But I know, and this is where I want to couch my commentary so it doesn't offend the people I love most, because I know their situation, circumstances wouldn't allow them. So this commentary is not for you all. It really isn't. And now that I know I have a large listening audience on the down low, I just want to make sure that some people within that listening audience hear me. Dave says, Ken, if I'd had the dineros, I'd have asked if you wouldn't mind a blind white guy in the mix. And I want you to know, sir, race wouldn't have mattered. The condition by which you see wouldn't have mattered. Just your presence would have been enough, and we would have found a way to get you here. That's just the way I feel about you, Dave. I love you, man, with all of my heart. But some of you, my friend, or friends, did like you put the cover right back on you. You know, it's a holiday. We already got it. We ain't got to march no more for it. I'm a little tired. It's really cold. I'm going to put a log back on the fire, and maybe I'll get out there a little bit later. Maybe I won't. You know, he'll understand, and the next time they have a march, I'll be there. I want you to know how God operates with me. There's no next time. When God tells you to do something, it will be done. It may not be another march. You don't know. You don't know. I'm telling you. That's just the way God works. But I'm telling you, you sure enough would have to worry about getting your pocket picked in Pennsylvania. So we arrived at the site at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm 30 minutes behind schedule. My wife is helping me load the crosses into the van, and she helped me unload the crosses at the end of the night. My wife is just, her devotion to the Lord is the only thing that outshadows her devotion to me. And I know that it's a far greater devotion to God, who she prays to nightly for the decision she made 18 years ago. But it's 20 degrees outside. The wind's blowing at hurricane speed. It's when the wind blows, the temperature drops below zero. She's freezing. I know she's freezing. I just want to get my baby into the warmth of her car, and she's helping me, and I really appreciate that. And so we get there, And who do we find there first? Colonel James Wyatt. Colonel James Wyatt. He was there at 8:30 in the morning. And he was promoting Open Heart Closed Case and talking about the Nanny Helen Burroughs Project. And later you're going to see why those two things working together actually blossom right before our very eyes. And he was on the air, WPFW. He was talking about why he was here and how he was going to support. And I really appreciated him. And also standing there in the cold was my brother-in-law, Howard Farmer, and his lovely wife, my sister, Avis McClinton. Avis, who I entrusted to handle all of the affairs of getting everything prepared and ready over the weekend. She sacrificed her weekend so that the things would go just smoothly, and I thank Avis. And if I can get a gift for Avis, I will try to find out how I can gift her. Probably I would gift her with less of my berating her in her youth. But nevertheless, we can't go back in time. But I love you, Avis. Thank you so much. I love you, Howard. Great job. I really appreciate all that you've done. Colonel James Wyatt, thank you so much for your support and being there. I also see that Henderson Long, my very good friend and someone who's been on the battlefield with me since after Shanice's untimely demise, and he's been working on the Relisha Rudd law in D.C., getting petitions out there, signatures, and it's just absolutely, positively wonderful a circumstance and situation. And so, Henderson, God bless you. He was out there in 20 below, out there getting signatures from people. He got to a point where his pen had frozen. That's how dedicated that man is. And he walked with us in the parade. We'll get to that in just a moment. And also, want to thank Trayvon White, who ran for the council member of Ward 8 last time. I think he's running again this time. Thank you so much for signing the petition and supporting Open Heart Closed Case. Really, really thank you for your support, sir. In addition to that, I want to thank my good friends, Howard Coleman, who came. Howard Coleman is a Jew. That is his faith. And what I would ask of him, most would have turned their noses. Now remember, the cross is an offense to those in Judaism. I want you to hear this story here, because I'm going to read to you something that he wrote back to me. And my goodness, there's a picture of him holding the cross right next to me. Y'all missed something very powerful yesterday. The march was about 5 to 6 miles long and walking. The march turned into the parade. Howie Coleman, the person who's organized in getting all of those detectives from around the world to volunteer 20 hours a month to solve cases for individuals who normally don't have the effects or the wherewithal to afford such high quality of detective work. He's done all that. And we both have been told no by the DC police. Not going to work with you. Hal Coleman came over and he picked up the cross. I want you to understand something. Yesterday, God was changing the paradigm in the world, and not too many people recognized it. An African American, colored, Negro, black, Christian conservative standing next to a a white Southern Jew. And we were both holding the cross. What to me is an honor and privilege, to him, by his faith, is a curse. And yet he was willing to lay down the tenets that others would have scoffed. And he probably would have wrote editorials about what he laid it all down. He understood there was a bigger purpose. And I wish I had a Star of David to put on that cross for him. This is what he writes. Howie Coleman. And I'm going to put it in the chat room for people to see, because I want y'all to see the picture of him. I want y'all to see him standing next to me. I want you to understand how great faith is. Faith overcomes a multitude of sin and flaws. Howie Coleman wrote, March in the Martin Luther King Day Parade and March for Murdered, Missing, and Exploited Children and Adults. 16 degrees in D.C., but marching with the Real Justice League warmed the place up. Being Jewish, joining my open heart, cold case Christian friends, shouldering the crosses, symbolizing both Jesus and Dr. King, was overwhelming. I wish all my Facebook friends could have seen the faces in the crowd along the march route as they saw the image we were portraying. Everyone understood. Looking forward to trying to work out a program with Dominican University to make global interfaith and racial harmony the rule rather than the exception to the rule. Howie Coleman, love you, man. Thank you for all you do. You might notice in that picture also where Henderson Long is right behind a certain gentleman and I'm standing next to him. That is my cousin, Dr. Michael Hughes. And his wife Camilla was also present. Dr. Michael Hughes and Camilla Hughes came and attended the event. Dr. Michael Hughes did not find it an offense to carry the cross next to his conservative cousin. The far left, Michael Hughes, and the far right, Kenneth McClinton, standing next to each other in a common cause. I want to also thank Toby and YG Nightstorm. I'm going to keep saying it, Nightstorm. They came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Flew in. And I want you to know, whatever she says, whatever Toby says, I took her to dinner and she had seafood. So, I promised her a seafood restaurant, and I did take her to a restaurant that has seafood. I'm going to have to change that around next time she comes to Washington, but Toby and YG flew all the way up. And I really appreciate the counsel of YG. As the parade got going, YG yelled out, "Get in front of us, Ken." You don't have to know what that means, but it meant a lot to the people that were behind me. And it meant a lot to me. I was able to create a line of demarcation from the world before me, and they were able to create one from the world behind them. And we were able to present unaccosted arming against the world. And ladies and gentlemen, those two, having flown in from they flew in at 6 in the morning and they were at the scene at 9:30. They flew in at 6:30 in the morning and got there and went directly from the airport to the march. That's why I don't want to hear too many excuses from too many people today. I really don't. When I think of Darryl Graham, who motored in from Linden, New Jersey, Darryl Graham, who is a lion chaser himself, joined us for that march. And lest I forget, my very good friend, Lonnie Poindexter. Lonnie Poindexter had taken a cab to the wrong end of the parade, and he found a way to get a cab back to the other end, and he marched with me, all of us picking up crosses and walking the 6 miles. Behind us in the parade were politicians, and there was a politician in front of us who was throwing beads out of her chariot, her Humvee, to the groups. And it reminded me of Rome, as the dictator would come into the city, Caesar, and throw. And the little children and the girls and the women were running and to put the beads on their neck, not knowing that their liberty had been stolen from them. The beads merely symbolizing a ownership by the state. Raunchy display of dancing on the top of the roof. This is a politician. And we were behind them. Solemn, sincere, purpose to do the will of the Lord. To heal the brokenhearted. And to bring back and restore a nation. We marched with crosses, silent and true. And yes, we were picked up on many stations around the country for doing what we did. But the greatest thing I want you to remember is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither rich or poor, neither educated or commonly taught. None of that mattered yesterday. All that mattered was solving unresolved homicides, bringing missing persons home, and making certain that children are no longer exploited around the world. When we come back, Flint, Michigan. It is the socialists who created this, and it's the socialists who are using the best strategy they know when they've created a problem. Blame the Republicans. We'll be right back.
This morning, the city of Flint, Michigan is in a state of emergency. High levels of lead were found in its tap water. This week, FEMA sent more than 7,000 gallons of bottled water for the city's residents. A year and a half after the change in Flint's water source, many residents have reported experiencing hair loss and rashes. Damage from lead is irreversible.
Flint's new mayor, Karen Weaver, says the city needs to fix its decaying infrastructure.
We made that switch to the Flint water and damaged the pipes. It was state-appointed emergency manager Darnell Early who rejected our offers from Detroit. He claimed switching to the river would save $5 million. The full cost of this disaster, both in terms of damage to human health and destruction of the city's infrastructure, have yet to be calculated. But the liability will be immense.
We learn the most from studying the worst cases, and unfortunately this is one of the worst cases of lead in water arising from bad engineering and science decisions. The whole problem arose because this corrosive water source was put into this distribution system. So the corrosion's eating up the pipes, it's eating up the iron pipes, it's causing main breaks, it's causing discolored water, and about 20% of the homes there's just too much lead.
With the push of a button, the water valve from Detroit was shut off, and the city of Flint's main source of water is now the Flint River.
When we heard on the news that we might be drinking Flint water right going to Valley, I thought it was a joke. But everybody knows how gross the Flint River area.
Some residents are wondering, will we see a change? Every resident will notice a difference.
My water's been gone since the switch.
The work that has gone into preparing the city of Flint to
eliminate its dependence on Detroit Water and Sewer Department. That's a major step, a huge step in the right direction, because it now gives you the opportunity to better control the cost.
On one side was the city of Flint's finances, and on the other side was the help of the citizens of Flint.
We've had 3 or 4 board water advisories.
The rashes, the hair loss, the muscle stiffness, the soreness.
My family broke out in a rash that we were told looked like scabies, but it wasn't scabies.
You are literally in a fight for your life right now.
I'm terrified of what, the outcome of this, the aftermath of this could be. Neurologically, for my children. We are being saddled with this toxic water because we're under a toxic system under emergency management.
Sir, I'm not killing anybody.
Because it is a third world country. We're getting poison water and we have no rights.
So the city chose not to stay with Detroit.
Once the contract was terminated, I think the evaluations gone up all the way up to the state level on what the best course of action would be for the city of Flint, and that was the termination.
All the way to the governor's office?
All the way to the governor's office.
After 18 months of public outcry, Governor Snyder recently held a press conference to announce that Flint would return to the Detroit system. During that press conference, it was disclosed that lead in the water of one Flint school was nearly 7 times higher than the federal action level. The list of victims of the Flint River disaster keeps growing. Even so, Snyder said the proper response isn't about blaming anymore.
Again, this isn't about blaming anyone. Right now, I want to stay focused on the solutions and taking action to solve the problems.
Many Flint residents disagree with Governor Snyder's no blame attitude.
There is blame. We have to look back because we have to know where the problem came from.
Oh, you want to see blame? Go to that school where that kid's got to drink that water right now.
In recent weeks, we've covered the mayhem in California with the methane tsunami. We covered St. Louis burning with radioactive waste just outside the city limits. Every day, our dear leaders cause a national catastrophe, but they never come on television to shed tears for their crimes. But they should be shedding tears for Flint, because Flint, Michigan is the worst environmental disaster of them all. The disaster in Flint isn't outside the city limits blowing in. It ain't in some faraway place just being discovered. This disaster is being delivered right there into people's homes, right into their showers so that it can be lathered onto the skin, vaporized into droplets. It's laced in their clothing, and it's landed on their coffee table, on their dinner table, on their dinner plates, in their soup bowls. It's in their glass of water. Lead, copper, it's what's for dinner in Flint. The damage is irreversible, and it's so profound that the city and the state have declared a national disaster. The entire water distribution system over there is condemned. So welcome to Flint, Fukushima, Michigan. The city is uninhabitable. And where is the national address for the 100,000 people that are being slow killed in Flint within our borders? Where is the national address to save our citizens, for the people, not only in Flint, but the people that are being gassed in Southern California? There is no speech there. There is no speech anywhere, because public safety isn't the real concern. The real concern is the payoff. It's the re-election. And if public safety was their concern, our police state wouldn't look like this. It would be a much better place. And if we didn't know better, it looks like the government is out to get us. They do everything they can to endanger our lives. And if you want to protect yourself, if you want to be informed, they make that illegal. You want to own a gun to protect yourself? Illegal. You want to collect rainwater in case the government fucks up your local water supply? Illegal. You want to grow your own food without a permit? Illegal. You want to feed the homeless? Illegal. Now, if you're smart enough to figure out what's going on here, they'll feed you some lines to buy themselves some time. They're buying time because they're getting paid $100,000 a year to feed us full of shit while leaving us to suck on toxic wastewater. It's champagne and caviar for them, and it's GMOs and frack water for us. They're nice though, they sprinkle on some chemtrails for the added confusion. They dope you full of fluoride to calm you down. They inject your ass with mercury-laced vaccines to keep you down. And once they've got you past that point of no return, they say, don't worry, everything's fine, everything's awesome, sit down in front of your television and accept our programming. And while you're watching that programming, they tell you to be afraid of the boogeyman. Well, do we have news for you, ladies and gentlemen? It ain't terrorists poisoning 100,000 people right now in Flint, Michigan. It ain't terrorists that are gassing the LA basin. It ain't terrorists that dump nuclear waste all over St. Louis. It ain't terrorists feeding you GMOs. It ain't terrorists fracking your water, unless by terrorists you mean Democrats, Republicans, and big business. Those are the real terrorists in our country. Every politician in this country should have to live in Flint, Michigan for a week. Every corporate board member, every governor, they should all have to go there and experience the joys of Flint living, just so they can see what the real terrorists are up to. Forget going to Hawaii. Go to fucking Flint and talk to us about the wonders of democracy. Did you know that Michigan has been under emergency management since the recession in 2008? Democracy has been suspended in Michigan. It's emergency managers making the decisions. And it's those decisions that left Flint, Michigan in a total state of chaos. Michigan is a FEMA state, literally. The first of its kind, an experiment, if you will, to see how the public will respond to Agenda 21. The water is brown and they still haven't complained. Add more mercury, add more fluoride, more chemtrails, add more lead, gas them, throw in some Fukushima fallout. What, they're still kicking? Well, there's no riots, no address, no attention. So no problem. More Agenda 21 on the way, brought to you by FEMA, the EPA, the BLM, the IRS, Monsanto, and McDonald's. We do it our way, and we'll take your fucking guns, we'll feed you full of GMOs, cause there's nothing you can do. And if it can happen in Flint, it can happen in California, it can happen in St. Louis, it can happen to you. Agenda 21, available now.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a national crisis in Flint, Michigan. There's also a national crisis in St. Louis, in Washington, in Boston, Chicago, LA, you name it. See, national crises are not merely located in a singular geography. It's happening to Flint, then it's happening to me. Ladies and gentlemen, when we go away for this particular break, I want you to know, and I apologize for the gruff tone of the message that was just delivered to you, and for the words. Some of you all may have children, and I do apologize for not preparing you, but the bottom line is this. America is in trouble, inside and out. What are you going to do about it?
Right. It's gonna be a right. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh. You stole mine. Right.
But that was my sister. It does. I don't know if she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot. That's a belly button. Oh, that is not a lollipop. That's right.
That's right.
Why you gotta swipe your legs? Yeah, you gotta swipe your legs. Why you gotta swipe your legs? This is what you like, so I gotta eat like that. Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. Your bump, what you call hashtags of flexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack out, now the six-pack's a day. Came across a photo of a brand.
Body, hold on, pretty face, nice body. Body, turn over, look, one fall back. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
Let's like that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
like that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? Get this in my don't like, so I gotta
Let's like that.
The world traveling, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop, looking all offensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Like the chicks in the picture, so which one's you? Them cigarettes are taking your intense pursuits. And one thing's true about your whole crew, and you cigarettes gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Let's like that.
Wear on a head glider?
Let's like that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's like that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's like that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Let's like that.
I'm just a trick face.
Let's like that.
Smoking at the gun.
Let's like that.
Isn't it a photo booth?
He don't care. Let's like that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
like that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? Get this in my don't like, so I gotta
Let's like that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give a little shout out here before we go over to the top of the next hour. Edward L. Smith. Edward L. Smith. My friends, you need to befriend this friend. Thank you. Thank you very much. You need to befriend this man. A conservative who is a champion for Flint, Michigan. You need to send him a thank you note because, ladies and gentlemen, he's working harder than some of the people who have been elected to office in Flint, Michigan, and in the state, all the way up to the Obama's EPA, and we're going to talk about that in the third quarter, that really Obama's EPA dropped the ball here and intentionally allowed this to happen. We're going to talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, and the Republicans are sitting over here cowering when all the paperwork and all the facts show that it was the socialists who were just trying to... Listen, Edward Smith, God bless you, man. God bless you. You are the remnant. You are a soldier that was prepared for this particular hour this day. You know what we do at this particular time when we start off the second hour of our program. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. We're led by Senor Cabrera. Take it away, Senor.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Senora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now in Spanish we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa, una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And we see you now. Welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism. What is the power of liberation? First the Republican and then the Democrat. Let me type in here on the Ustream chat. God bless. In caps, Edward L. Smith for... Take the 4 out there. You don't do that. Okay, for... championing Flint, Michigan. There we go. God bless you, sir. Tell you, you need, in this age, you're going to need people who are going to stand up, because it seems like the whole world has become sheep. It really has. It seems that everyone is just allowing stuff to happen to them. And they're not fighting, they're just accepting it. I saw a video earlier today where a young woman had witnessed the killing of a young man and basically just said, that's the way it is in our neighborhood, which just always been that way. I can't live like that. I have not become accommodative to abnormality. I can't get used to abnormality. You may put it in movies and call it normal. You may put it in the White House and call it normal. But abnormality is not something I can accommodate to. I can't get used to that. And so I'm just hoping, amongst all hopes, that people will catch on. That in Flint, Michigan, all the fingers point to the socialists that want to use the Republicans as scapegoats. And somehow they want the governor to... See, this is the common sense thinking here. The common sense thinking. Socialists know that there's so many people in Michigan who have been cut off from really thinking. They're just throwing a miss. They can't believe the ideology is killing them. They look at Detroit and they can't believe the ideology is killing them. And the ideology is loaded up and gone back in to knock them off, and they become immune to it, paralyzed by it, won't do anything about it. It certainly couldn't be the Democrats, because they love us. They love us so much that they poison our rivers and then poison my drink. They love us so much that they tax us out the gang and take my money to give it away to friends and family. Yeah, they really love us. And the Republicans are just sitting there scapegoat, and they're taking it. No, when we come back in the third quarter, we're going to talk about how EPA, which is under the Obama administration, and how the Democrat socialists of Flint, Michigan, turned the switch on to kill their babies, their children, and to literally destroy their city. We'll talk about that. Third quarter, and we'll also talk about a few other things about taxes. So, ladies and gentlemen, during the 10 o'clock hour, you know what we do. On Tuesday nights, something I truly look forward to, amongst all things, is to be able to talk with the wonderful, the brilliant Janice Hall, the J. Hall World Report. We're going to dig this up real quick. I'm going to call her. I don't understand why people in Detroit and Flint, well, yeah, I do understand why people in Detroit and Flint ain't doing nothing. Because they voted for the poison. It's like, they voted for the poison. And no matter what you say to them, their own people are killing them. This is a Jim Jones thing. Y'all can put it out there. This is Jim Jones at work. The Democrats are killing their own populations, and people are still, they can't get it. It's like, I no way this guy can lie to us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're picking up the phone now. We're calling Janice Hall, J. Hall World Report. We love Janice Hall. Sooner or later it come up. Are we even there yet? Okay. We don't have that problem again. Okay, let's try this number here. I'm getting ready to leave Skype the same way I left Blogger, whatever that thing is. Blog Talk. If things don't work, I believe in the free market. If things don't work, I ain't staying. Especially don't want to change it. We can't seem to get through on either. Okay, people, I can't stand Skype. I pray that this next method that I try works. Because you all need to really hear from this young woman. She's just a brilliant young woman. Yeah, I may have to hold the phone if that's a thing we got to do. I can't believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the last week with Skype. I really do. So I'm so sorry, but hey, I don't have an affinity for things that don't work. Believe it or not, I don't.
Hello.
Hello! How are you doing, young woman?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Doing great. This is Janice Hall of the J Hall World Report. Janice Hall is the official, yes, the official world news commentator on the Exceptional Conservative Show. There's a trophy coming out to tell her that. So congratulations to you, young woman. We want to celebrate the 3 years that you've been doing this with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. It's a lot of fun.
Listen, apparently, women are property also in Europe. And it doesn't appear that if you do anything to women, apparently, it's okay. So I wanted you to talk tonight about exactly and why the New York Times and the rest of these liberal magazines and newspapers here in this country are not covering the biggest story in the world, one of the biggest stories in the world.
Right. Okay, so on New Year's Eve, a group of around 1,000 men in Cologne, and in other cities, but not of 1,000 men, that was the largest collection, basically got together at the main train station and basically sexually assaulted and just generally assaulted women. And so far, it looks like the numbers, there's been like 800 plus cases have been filed, complaints made. There were, I think, half of those were, essentially sexual assaults. And I think the last number I saw were 3 rapes. And this wasn't just in Cologne either.
Mm-hmm.
There was also in other cities in Germany, and since this time, so first off, the German, police decided, well, we're not going to talk about this story. So it took a couple days for it to actually get out, and then when it did, it sort of like the floodgates sort of opened, and if you've been searching for this, which I have, there have been so many more stories of women being essentially assaulted and harassed by, Middle Eastern and North African men.
Yeah.
And essentially what the common thread seems to be is that, you don't talk about it. Nobody does anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
For fear of being, considered a racist or, being inhospitable or just, whatever it is. So you just have to sit there and take it because you can't possibly, be mean to these people. And so what's happening is that they're getting away with it, and they have been getting away with it. And it just boggles my mind. There's just so much in this story that, I want to talk about.
Yeah.
That, we're probably going to spend a lot of time talking about this today. More so than we have already. And so first and foremost, the fact that this happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody generally probably should have seen coming. Not maybe this specific case, but the case of just in general that you were going to have these people that were not going to be able to assimilate into the culture, and that they would, generally impose it on others,
Mm-hmm.
and it would create a lot of problems.
Now, let's get this straight, because we're talking with Janice Hall, J Hall World Report. Let's get this straight now, because a lot of people will say, Janice, you're misleading people. You have become corrupted by the exceptional one, and so you only see things through the rose-colored glasses of conservatism.
That's absolutely true.
So apparently, there were no Asians involved in this, right?
No, No, not to my knowledge.
There were no Hispanics involved in this, right?
No, not to my knowledge.
There were no white men involved in this, right?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
No, everybody that generally seems to have been of North African or Arab descent. They have arrested a few people. A few people. Like, we're talking like maybe a dozen people here out of 1,000. And some of them have been, like a couple of them were Algerians. As far as I know, like hardly anybody actually from Syria.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just, I mean, not only are the people who are coming here not even what we would, are not even Syrian refugees, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, they're basically coming in and acting like an invading army.
Now let's also establish something here, because we don't want to mislead anyone, and we're not trying to be biased of any kind. The people involved were not Jewish, right?
No.
The people involved were not Christian, right?
No.
They weren't even Hindu, were they? Maybe, you know.
No.
Okay. This group of people were what?
They were Muslims.
There you go. But we're not supposed to describe them, right? Obama doesn't want us to describe them. But these North African Muslims, Mohammedans, decided to take their culture to the New World. What exactly happened on that New Year's Eve that most Americans don't know about right now?
I mean, probably just first and foremost that it happened. That, I mean, quite frankly, it boggles my mind.
Yeah.
That you can have 1,000 guys, okay, get together for criminal activity. I can't think of a comparable example. I mean, I guess one could suggest riots, but, you know, usually that's under, you know, more specific circumstances, and this in no way, you know, feels like a riot.
Yeah.
This felt like, essentially a conquering army coming in and having their way, and no one was there to stop them. I mean, there were police there, don't get me wrong, there were cops. Did the cops do anything? No. Did the cops really do anything after the fact? No. Hence the dozen or so, you know, people that they've identified.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Multiple cities on New Year's Eve, alright, had these issues. Though Cologne was the largest. Mm-hmm.
And then, the mayor, who is a woman, comes out and says, okay, women, apparently we live in dangerous times, and you maybe should dress more modestly.
Whoa!
Maybe walk around with a man. And I was just like, oh, okay, so essentially, the Muslims have had their way.
Wait. So is this mayor part of the Catholic system in which she's a nun, full-time, part-time mayor kind of thing? Is she so bereft of modernity that she believes that all women should dress in nun gown? Is this that type of mayor?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
So a woman actually said this about other women. Wow!
And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do believe, you know, that women should, you know, be safe. However... Normally what you wear is not going to cause a man to rape you or to abuse you. That's not the reason why men do that. Oh, wow. No, it's not. At all.
Wow.
And how a woman dresses is completely, you know, that has nothing to do with how a man treats her.
Exactly.
Or, yeah.
Wow! So we're talking with Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report, and what we're talking about is in Germany on New Year's Day. There were 80 women that have come forward so far.
800.
800 women that have come. Wow! That is further up than what's been reported here in America. What's being reported here in America is that it's 80 women who were involved in that. It is 800 women that were sexually assaulted by Mohammedans in Germany. And the mayor of Cologne says maybe the women should not have dressed so scantily. That was the reason why these men felt that they had a right to invade the privacy and well-being of a woman. Wow! Where's the ERA on this? I mean, the women's groups, aren't they all forming lines right now to protest? What are they saying?
I mean, they should be. They should be. I mean, there has been backlash about this in Europe, in Germany, and that's completely expected, right? And this is kind of what happens when you let in that many people with their own culture and really no plan. I mean, this was sort of the inevitable conclusion. And so, people can complain about how, these right-leaning, racist, thugs, they're not, being inclusive or anything like that. But that's, first and foremost, that's not why they're doing it. And secondly, that's sort of backlash that happens when you do this. And so instead of having a thought out, planned approach for, dealing with immigration, they let everyone in, and this is the consequence. That not only that they have, a huge culture clash that's causing tremendous amount of crime.
Exactly.
And then, people being upset about it, that's just what happens.
So what has the President of the United States said about, I know it's not his country, I know it's not his concern, but 800 women being sexually assaulted on one night, if that happened here, would there be outrage?
Well, I would hope so. And there should be. I mean, I personally, and this isn't even this didn't even happen in the U.S., but I'm probably more, I'm probably as mad about this, just, and, I can't even talk.
Yeah.
Since September 11th, I don't think I've been, this is the most mad that I've gotten about something that has happened. Because essentially the city is, Western cities are generally supposed to be safe. And Western cities, can deal with crime. And there's a way to deal with crime, right?
Yes.
But what was done on New Year's Eve goes so far beyond what, a police department can deal with, that it's just ridiculous. And they, their policies of letting everyone in, have gotten them to this point.
I'm reading in an NBC News report, which you have to take with a grain of salt, but nevertheless, a poll was done in which they found that 60% of Germans now believe that the country cannot cope with having a largesse of refugees here, that they have a refugee crisis. And what's not being reported are right-wingers or those who happen to be more conservative are pushing now against Chancellor Angela Merkel, and also to deport all of the refugees. Why isn't that being reported in America?
Because that's just not cool.
Wow.
We have to talk about gun control.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. While women are being raped and sexually assaulted while celebrating New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve is a perfectly good example of why we should have guns. Let me say.
And can I get an amen on that one? Can I get an amen out of the chat? That's exactly what women are not the equal of men. I don't care if Jenner changes his sex, he still has the power of a man. Women do not have that. The gun is a great equalizer for women. The taser is a great equalizer for women. The knife is a great equalizer for women. If only they knew how to use it well. And some of them do. So. And the mayor is telling people that you need to just suck it up. The women need to start wearing burqas, and then we wouldn't have this kind of problem.
Right. That's right. And I want to point out, because I've been following the story, that, I mean, we're talking about New Year's Eve here, but yeah, as I looked into it, I mean, kind of what happens is kind of the floodgates open, and then people sort of felt like they could, disclose and talk about many of the other instances that this has been happening, and there's been a lot. There's been a lot of actually school girls have been basically molested. There's a few girls were being essentially beaten up and assaulted at school. There was an incident at a public pool. Where women were, again, girls were, being, gone after, inappropriately, and I'm sure that is not the only ones. That there are many more, and these stories are just going to continue to happen.
Because women in the Sharia law system are nothing more than a foot mat, a doormat, a piece of clay on the earth. Women are property in the eyes of many of these refugees, and thus the European women, especially the blonde white ones, will experience the suffrage to come. Now, this is a quote from Cologne's mayor, Henriette Reker. She says, it's completely improper to link a group that appeared to come from North Africa with all refugees. But, my God!
All refugees. I mean, technically, you can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes right now.
Yeah.
We're part of the whole, everything that I've seen is that we're all part of that refugee contingent that came in. And the air quotes is clearly because they're not actually refugees, asylum seekers who are in fear of their lives in Syria.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask you this because apparently the Catholic Church has joined many of the marchers with a candlelight event in which they are hoping that the Germans, because as Germany goes, the rest of Europe will follow, that the Germans will accept the high level of immigration to the country. And his statement was, criminality is nothing new. And for most Germans, nothing has really changed. Is that really true?
That doesn't feel true. That certainly doesn't feel true. Yeah, you're right. Criminality doesn't change. But guess what? What happened in Cologne wasn't really criminal behavior. That is only really, I mean, to me, that looks like war.
Yeah.
That's not something that cops are necessarily capable of handling, at which point it elevates it to a different level.
let me just ask you real quick, because we're going to run out of time, and we have Janice Hall, and this is one of those. I wish we could have you back on and talk about this again in the week, but we're going to work on making your segment a little bit longer next week, because this is a really big issue. How do blonde white women now feel in Europe, now that their own have turned against them? It seems their own have turned against them.
It seems that way. I mean, I would be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As a woman, there is a chance, that you'll be attacked.
Mm-hmm.
That is just the way it is. However, generally, I feel that attack is not necessarily, that probability isn't particularly high. And should something happen, that generally speaking, the police force and the justice system that is currently in existence has the capability to handle such an offense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't feel like that is the case anymore in Germany. Especially after this.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, obviously the justice system is not capable of handling this. That is very clear. And secondly, just so many, essentially, if you were a woman on New Year's Eve at that station, you were basically harassed, at the very least, if not assaulted.
Wow. Janice, we love you, and we thank you for bringing forth the tough stories that the rest of the world won't cover because it's not politically correct. And we pray that there would be a backbone amongst men in that country, that maybe it's time to start kicking people to the curb and letting them go back home where such behavior is acceptable and called civilization. God bless you. And thank you so much for being our official world news commentator on the Exceptional Conservative Show. Janice Hall, we love you.
Thank you.
Wow. I don't know about you all tonight. If your daughter was told that her rape was because of the way she pressed her hair, apparently she was leading him on. He wouldn't have done that if she were not the one responsible, and maybe if she could find 5 or 6 other witnesses, then we could believe her. Can you believe that Europe is Sharia ready? And the question is, is America Sharia ready? Are you willing for a group of refugees to come here, and because we're trying not to be deemed xenophobic or deemed bigots or highly acerbic to those who wish to merely be at peace in their new land, do you want your daughters and your sons even to come? Do you? I mean, how much more do you have to be shown to say that maybe if we can't vet them, they can't come? I don't know. We'll be back with more of the best at Urban Conservative Talk. We'll return to our conversation about Flint, Michigan, because just a few moments ago we got news that the governor has given an apology. Wow.
Right. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. You stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. But that was like my sister. I don't know if she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot. That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
Let's fight that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? Yeah, you gotta swipe it left. Why you gotta swipe it left? This is if I don't like, so I gotta like that. Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. Your bump, but you pop, hashtag flex. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack out, now the six-pack's a day. Came across a photo of a ring.
Hold on, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Even still never look one fall back. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
Let's like that. Why you gotta swipe it left? Yeah, you gotta swipe it left. Why you gotta swipe it left? This is if I don't like, so I gotta like that. It's the world traveling.
Your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all offensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? So based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Like the chicks in the pic, measure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking you from 10 to cruise. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarettes gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Let's like that.
While you're on a head wider?
Let's like that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's like that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's like that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Let's like that.
I don't hit the truck race.
Let's like that.
Smoking at the bomb.
Let's like that.
Isn't it a photo booth?
You don't care. Let's like that. Why you gotta swipe it left? Yeah, you gotta swipe it left. Like that. Why you gotta swipe it left? This is if I don't like, so I gotta let's like that. You gotta swipe it left. Yeah, hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of the restaurant, and today I'm walking through some of the meals that we prepare I'm gonna make it a pizza. We use French, Italian sausage, good gear and recycling. Pizza dip is in-house made. Pizza sauce is in-house made. Everything is fresh and green. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some meat vegetables, served with jasmine rice and wheat bread. So now, we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. So that meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burger. We keep the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers. Now you have a pound of burgers. Okay, grilled to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and then cook on it until it really we're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger. Spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but as we enter the last 30 minutes of our show where there are no more commercials whatsoever, I love ending on that one. Infused Restaurant, 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. Telephone number 301-449-9000. InfuseInfuse.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an honor yesterday. Of course, while the parade was going on right across the street from the church, or a little bit of a half block down from the church in which I attend, and we stopped our march, Lecky Elementary, President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama were there, and they were doing some event there, and of course traffic was all gnarled, of course. But I got a chance to meet the world famous radio and TV broadcaster Donnie Simpson, and it was an honor and privilege to meet him. And the great thing about it was he wanted to meet me. I was shocked. You want to meet me? Man, you're Donnie Simpson. So it was a great privilege talking with him, and we took a picture with my wife and he, and we really enjoyed talking with him, and look forward to great things with Donnie Simpson. Back on the air again. Sorely missed, but we welcome him back to Washington. He added fresh air to the parade march, per se. And I also want to say to you that there's some people out there who are truly, truly upset. We just got this. Sarah Palin just endorsed Donald Trump. So there you go. That's the news. We got Sarah Palin has just endorsed Donald Trump. So I'm just going to tell you right now, look out. Look out. I think we're beginning to see, as things are shaping up, who the 1 and 2 will be. And the number 1 will be Donald Trump. The number 2 will be Ted Cruz. I'm just telling you. If not, I would hope that he would choose Ted Cruz as the number 2, so that the next spot that comes open on the Supreme Court, he easily just slips Ted Cruz right on into the Supreme Court. He'll probably pick out a more principled establishment vice president after that. But I think if we could change the Supreme Court, we could change a lot of things. So, but going back, I want to say thank you so much, Donnie Simpson, for just being there at the event and meeting and greeting my wife and I. So that's just what I want to say about that. I'm trying to type in this stuff here as we go along. A lot of people like that picture. Donnie Simpson and the Exceptional One standing side by side. I don't know. You may have thought I had a disease like Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. But let's get to the point. You know, the big story tonight out of Flint, Michigan. You know, Dave, I agree with you. I would think that Sarah Palin would have endorsed Ted Cruz, but I think the bandwagon is beginning to roll and nobody wants to be left off of it. I really do. I like Justice Allen West too. I think he would make a great justice on the Supreme Court. It would be a great, opportunity. He's not completely as conservative as myself, but he certainly understands the Constitution. But let me digress again. Here's the story that I want to go with and talk with you about. Is from mlive.com. This was updated November the 19th. As concerns about Flint's water situation has become apparent. Apparently, city water officials were found to have filed certified documents with state regulators that claimed the city only tested tap water from homes where residents were at the highest risk of lead poisoning. But records obtained by the Flint Journal MLive show those claims were false and may have delayed efforts to fix the public health emergency here. See, this is the thing. These are Flint folk. These are Democrat socialist folk who are trying to kill their own folk. They falsified documents and blamed the Republican governor for not saving them from the falsified document. Listen, if it's falsified in the beginning and it gets to you and you review it and you have to trust the opinion of those because you're running a state, you have to trust the opinion of Flint and its city council members and leaders. You think that these guys are not going to lie to you to kill their own people. Where are the Democrat socialists now running around saying that we need to criminalize and put in prison top officials for decisions made? Why aren't they running around saying that the city council and the mayor of Flint need to be arrested and placed in jail for the decisions they made that led to the deaths and the eventual deaths of many people? And what we're talking about here is lead poisoning. We are talking about lead poisoning, people. And this administration, the Obama administration, signed off on it too. And were willing accomplices to it. So you got, what is it about that? Documents show that Flint filed false reports about testing for lead. Now, I want to just tell you, because for you ladies who like to love men, and it doesn't matter what man it is, okay, and you feel this great love and affection, I want you to understand something about lead poisoning. Lead poisoning is generational. I mean, the effects of lead poisoning will go well beyond the children and the grandchildren. Lead poisoning, and this is from the Mayo Clinic, lead poisoning occurs when lead builds up in the body, often over a period of months or years. Even small amounts of lead can cause serious health problems. Children under the age of 6 are especially vulnerable to lead poisoning. So, if you look at the population for those under the age of 6 in Flint, Michigan, and you look out 20 years from now, they will be populating again. And all that's been damaged in their body will be passed on through their children. And so for all you Planned Parenthood folk, I'm quite certain you'll be opening up centers all over Flint, Michigan, because what better way to describe to them why you want to eliminate their children? You want to save them from the lead crisis. Yeah. Lead-based paint, lead-contaminated dust in older buildings are the most common sources of lead poisoning in children. Other sources include contaminated air, water, and soil. Adults who work with batteries, do home renovations, or work at auto repair shops also may be exposed to lead. Let's check out some of the symptoms, per the Mayo Clinic, of lead poisoning. Check this out, my brothers and sisters who keep voting for Democrats that try to kill you. Initially, lead poisoning can be hard to detect. Even people who seem healthy can have high blood levels of lead. Signs and symptoms usually don't appear until dangerous amounts have accumulated. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you is, years out from now, Flint folk will leave that place and become immersed in the population. Here are some of the signs of lead poisoning in children. Developmental delay. Learning difficulties. Public schools in District of Columbia, more than 50% of them have special needs, which is why public education becomes more expensive, because you need specialized individuals to work with them on their special skills to get them to where they need to be. Yeah, there's a tax plan coming your way. Just watch out, Flint. Here it comes. Irritability, loss of appetite, weight loss, sluggishness and fatigue, abdominal pain, vomiting, constipation. Here's a big one. I want you to pay attention. Hearing loss. Lead poisoning symptoms in newborns. Learning difficulties and slow growth. Yes, this is a generational thing. What happened in Flint with the Democrats? The Democrats have not only, you think the national debt is what they're passing on to your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren? No, they are passing on, under the cover of the EPA, death and destruction. And then they're going to deny it and blame the Republicans. Lead poisoning symptoms in adults. See, guys, if you're wondering, miscarriage or premature birth in pregnant women. Could be both of you. Could be her. Could be you. Reduced sperm count. Abnormal sperm. Wondering why you can't have children. Flint, Michigan just did what that city in South Carolina did, and the cities in Maryland did, to developmentally slowed and delayed individuals. They stopped them from having children. Flint, Michigan, in a sense, just stopped a whole lot of Flint, Michigan men from having children. Mood disorders, memory loss, headache, and this is for adults, pain, numbness, or tingling of the extremities, decline in mental functioning. It ain't Alzheimer's, it's lead. Muscle pain, joint pains, constipation, abdominal pains. Now here's a big kicker, baby. Flint, majority of which is black, you won't know that you have lead poisoning because one of the symptoms is high blood pressure. And like I spoke earlier, there are people that run around saying, yeah, my mama had high blood pressure, my grandmama had high blood pressure, I'm going to have high blood pressure. It's just high blood pressure. Abnormality is what people have become accommodated to. But baby, it's a sign. Now we talked about the cause. The cause in Flint, Michigan is simply water pipes. Lead pipes, brass plumbing fixtures, and copper pipes soldered with lead can release lead particles into tap water. Although lead solder in food cans is banned in the United States, it's still used in some countries. I want you to understand something. They could have stopped this lead matter. Even with the pipes that they put in, they could have stopped it by paying $100 a month. Yes! For $100 a month, they could have had the filtering system put in. We wouldn't even have to worry about it. We wouldn't be conversating about this. Now, there are some remedies. Traditional remedies. There are remedies indeed, depending on your age and depending on living in older homes and things like that. Exposure to even low levels of lead can cause damage over time, especially in children. The greatest risk is to brain development, where irreversible damage can occur. Higher levels can damage the kidneys and nervous system in both children and adults. Very high lead levels can cause seizures, unconsciousness, and possibly death. So you think I'm just being, hyperbolic here by saying that Flint, Michigan's Democrats have sentenced their own population to death. I'm not. There is a possibility you could die from lead poisoning. So what are the remedies, Ken? You talked about their remedies. First step is you got to get treated. First you got to get diagnosed and then you got to get treated, I guess. That's a better way of saying it. Diagnosed and then treated. But let me assure you that for a lot of family members, they've been under that for many months. Drinking it, washing in it, bathing in it, cooking in it. You have been given a death sentence in Flint, Michigan. Now, chelation therapy is where you take medication that binds with the lead so that it's excreted in your urine. And then there's EDTA therapy, and doctors treat adults with lead levels that are greater than 45 mcg DL of blood with one or more of 3 drugs, most commonly a chemical called ethylene diamine tetracetic acid, EDTA. And depending on the lead level, you may need more than one treatment. In such severe cases, however, it may not be possible to reverse damage that has already occurred. Children may need sedation therapy at lower levels than adults do. So, why is this conversation important? Because just a few moments ago, Governor Rick Snyder issued a sweeping apology to the residents of Flint for a contaminated water supply, pledged to promptly release his emails about the issue, and laid out more specifics that have previously been known about the state's handling of the matter. These are his words. He says, "I'm sorry and I will fix it." Mr. Snyder, a Republican, said they want to make certain that you understand that he was a Republican. Said in the State of the State address, in which he took the unusual step of focusing on a painful issue that has consumed the state in recent weeks and has drawn condemnation from national politicians. No citizen of this great state should endure this kind of catastrophe. Government failed you. Can we get that on tape, people? Government failed you. Federal, state, and local leaders by breaking the trust you place in us. Government failed you. But the Democrat Socialists in Flint, Michigan still believe, Reverend Rick, they still believe that government will free their minds. They still believe that government will clean their water. They still believe that government will take away the pain and the tragedy of death. They still believe that government will come in and give them more than bottled water to bathe in. They still believe, Rick. They still believe. No matter what you say, no matter how much of the population is doomed to death thanks to lead poisoning that was brought on by their own political leaders who sought financial gain rather than the well-being of their own people. Now, I just want to say this. Mr. Snyder says, to the families in Flint, it is my responsibility, my commitment to deliver. I give you my commitment that Michigan will not let you down. Now, hours before Mr. Snyder spoke, the Environmental Protection Agency said the state had not responded quickly enough to the water emergency. What happened in Flint should not have happened. That's what the agency said. Well, we got news tonight, and I just want to give that to you. The EPA has now been implicated in the cover-up of Flint water crisis. I'm putting that in the chat roll. I want to deliver it to you. I want you to put that out, all my listeners, all over the country. It was EPA that covered this up. And let me read to you, because we're going to come down to the final minutes of our program, and I'm going to run out of time. In January 12, Detroit News Report, EPA Region 5 Administrator Susan Hedman, the top agency official in the Midwest, admitted that she knew as early as last April that Flint's water supply lacked corrosion controls. This is significant because when the city changed its water source from the Detroit water supply in April 2014, it began to draw its water from the notoriously polluted Flint River. The change was made as a cost-saving measure 7 months after Flint came under the control of state-appointed emergency manager Darnell Early. Early's team estimated the switch to the Flint River would save the city $5 million over 2 years, money that would ultimately flow to the city's Wall Street creditors. Greed is a terrible thing. when coupled with ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, the cover-up is real. The cover-up is real. We have to thank, more so, Democrat Socialists and the Obama administration and Republicans at the state level for not covering their gluteus maximus and doing the research knowing that Socialists will lie to you. Just like Mohammedans will rape women. Ladies and gentlemen, a man once told me, be brave so that you never die cowardly. I promise you I always will. Remember, we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I am the king of 9 p.m. And I welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from Washington, D.C. God bless America. Now, America, it's your turn to bless God.